Hi guys, it's John from Lowyat here. Today we're going to be doing something a little different in this video. We're going to be talking a little bit or briefly about the product that's inside this bag here. That product, in case you're wondering, is the Sony WH-1000XM5s. You know, Sony's new headphones, which by the time this video comes out, would have been on the market for a couple of months and we've got our hands on it. So, without further ado, let's get started. At the time that this video comes out, given that Sony was running a promotion, this promotion may or may not have been in effect anymore. Also, I'm guessing is because of stocks at this point. It's actually a bag that comes free with every pre-order of the XM5. The brand itself is called Smarter Than Most. It's an Australian brand. Okay, you forgive me, I've had this for a little while now, but I never really actually paid attention to the bag because, you know, obviously I was focusing on the XM5s. But without further ado, I'm just going to open this up. And yeah. So, I'll put this bag aside for a bit. No point in talking about that. So as I said, the XM5s have been out for a bit at this stage. And one of the first things you notice about the product itself is that the boxing, the packaging is already a little bit more different. It's, well, at a glance, less compact, and that's before I even open up the actual product that's inside this box. But yeah, so small disclosure, the video team has sort of like taken it out and taken some B-roll shots. So just for the sake of this video, I'm just going to show you what you get when you buy the XM5s. So the packaging is made from all recyclable material. It's nice, it's good. It's Sony's way of saying, you know, to the public, oh, we care for the environment. Good on you, Sony. But yeah, so opening up the box, it's just the cover. Ooh, that's loud. And then you get the casing itself. This is where the XM5s are inside. This little thing that's attached to it is the instructions as well as some of the, you know, free gifts. Titles inside it. Oops, sorry. Again. Opening up, like I said, it's actually not as compact as the XM4s. And you'll see why. Again, as a slight disclaimer to reiterate myself, I've actually been playing around with this for a while. But again, I'm just doing this to show you what you get with it once you purchase the XM5s. So, as you can see, it opens this way at the top, like this, but the design is slightly less compact. And up you go. You'll notice that the headphones are just placed very neatly like this. And there's a reason for why they did it like this. I'll get to that in a bit. So, the color I've got here is gray. It's an off-white, if you want to call it that. And they swivel this way. You know, they swivel out rather. They actually swivel out. This is the orientation that I'm supposed to wear. The right cup here, left cup here. But they swivel out rather than in this time around. Again, I'll get to that in a bit. Getting to the box. So, it's a very nice. I mean, the casing is nice. There's no doubt about it. It's covered with this fuzzy material and, you know, the cutouts for placing the headphones in. And this little cubby hole here, as you've no doubt guessed, is where they keep the wires. Now, the thing, again, I can't help but make a comparison to the WH-1000XM4s, sorry, just to abbreviate again, is that while the XM5s come with the typical 3.5 headphone jack connector cable and ubiquitous USB-C charging cable, you notice that besides those two, this doesn't come with the airport or the airplane headphone jack converter that allows you to plug your headphones into, well, the audio jack for when you're flying overseas. I don't know why Sony didn't do that. I don't know why Sony wouldn't provide it, but it must have its reasons anyway. But that's pretty much it for this casing, as simple as it comes. So moving on to the next point, this is the headphones I'm just gonna take here. Now, as I promised, I'm gonna talk about it as to why you notice that the design, again, I'm just gonna bring this in here. Again, you notice the cutout is as such. And the reason for that is because for the first time since the XM since the in the WH series, these aren't actually foldable. I mean, they're still like, you can still bend them like this. They've got that flexibility. I'm not going to bend it too hard, but I'm just trying to tell you, you can actually do this, you see. Oh, I can see some of the people in the room cringing at this. But yes, you can do this. But the problem is, it doesn't fold or it doesn't collapse in and of itself. Hence why it's not as as compact as the XM4s anymore. But for better or worse, it's a design that Sony has chosen to stick to, and get its clientele to actually live with it. Other notable features on the headphones here, which you'll see with the B-roll that my video team is going to be doing, is that it's changed from its latterless design. So rather than the usual click, 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 click that you get with the XM4s, the XM3s, and the XM2s, you notice that now it's actually more sublime. It's you don't hear that click anymore. Sony is clearly trying to make things more minimalist than, what the XM4 was. And frankly, I think it's a very nice touch, albeit, if I'm honest, I would rather actually they keep the foldable compact design. The hinges at the end of the neck allow for a little bit of leeway based on how your head shape is and how long you've extended the band. So if I put it here, I can just adjust it based on where my head is. But again, I'm pointing this out already. You notice, it folds out rather than in. I mean, you can argue that it folds in, but not all the way. And given that I have a very thick neck, as you can see, by my massive girth, it actually feels very uncomfortable. My chin, more often than not, whenever I'm wearing it, I feel like the obstruction just doesn't feel nice. Oh, as a quick note, I'm just going to give you a comparison for comparison's sake. So, like I said, it's not as compact, but you can see it here. And I've got the XM4s here just to give you an idea of how compact we're talking about. See, notice what I mean that they don't fold? Yeah. Folding actually saves a lot more space, whereas when you don't fold it, this is what Sony has to make do with anyway. On a side note, the memory foam on the ear cups as well as the headband, it's still good. I'm not saying that the XM4s were any bad, but with the XM5, it feels a lot more comfortable. I don't sweat as much when I put on the earphones, and it doesn't feel as tight, which is a surprise considering the XM4s itself themselves were also not as tight. But this really just feels non-existent, to the point that I can just ignore it and drain it for the rest of the day until the battery caves in or needs to be recharged anyway. Wow. So, the XM5s no doubt also come with improved features and physical aspects. The first I'm going to address is you'll notice these little cutouts on the side of the ear cups. These are the microphones. Sony has allocated a total of 4 of them now to each ear cup, and that actually improves the call quality and noise cancellation and also the ambient sound that comes in when you turn it on. Inside, you've got a 30mm driver on each ear cup. It's down from 40, but the material they used in this case for the XM5s is now carbon fiber, and it's a softer around the edges, so Sony says, to allow for, again, better noise cancelling, tighter sound, and tighter and richer sound. That's what they say. The other thing about the XM5s is that it's got, the 2 chips that Sony has been promoting since actually the WFs, the in-ear earbuds, the XM4s. So what that is that you've got the noise cancelling chip, and on top of that, you've got the V1 processor. Combined together in their functions, what you get is a noise cancelling experience that is a lot tighter than the original XM4s, the over-ear ones. I know it's subjective, but believe me when I actually tell you, it really feels like it blocks out a lot more noise than what its predecessor used to do. And honestly, sometimes when I turn it on in a working day, I just don't hear anybody until they come tapping my shoulder. Like, seriously, they do. It does such a great job. I'm actually ignorant to the rest of the world, so to speak. Let's talk about the audio experience for the XM5s. Now, you're clearly not going to be able to hear most of the music that I'm listening to, and given the fact that we have to pay a fee of copyright if we want to actually play the music, I'm just going to have to ask you to take my word for it. Despite having shrunk down from a 40mm to a 30mm driver, the carbon fiber composite that they use with the 30mm driver actually makes the sound overall audio experience feel tighter, is the word I'm going to use here. The highs and mids actually sound clearer. The clarity is a lot more prominent. It doesn't actually take a back seat, and it's more balanced. And the lows, my God, the lows of the XM5s in comparison to the XM4s, it's actually more prominent. You can actually feel it in the back of your skull. I say this because I'm a person who believes that when it comes to lows, you want to feel that resonating, reverberating in the back of your head, not so much feel it in your eardrums. Hearing it in your eardrums, it's just going to punctuate or even make you deaf. The lows have to be something that really reverberates in the back of your skull. It's something that you feel, not hear. And the XM5s actually do a pretty decent job at that. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's the strongest I've heard. Far from it. The lows especially, while they're still not as powerful, or they don't have the oomph that I actually like in certain earphones. And with the highs and mids, sound staging, while clear, can be a bit of a mixed bag. It really depends on the kind of track that you're listening to, and most of the tracks I listen to ranges from classical music to heavy vocals and, a balance between pop and rock. But when it comes to jazz, which is one of my litmus tests for any music, the highs and mids are there. Like I said, they're more prominent, but they're not always accurate to the point that I can actually tell what instrument is playing or where the instrument is placed within a room. So the million-dollar question at the end of the day is, should you actually buy the Sony WH-1000XM5s? Well, that's a very good question. At 1,799 ringgit, or 1,008 to round it up, it's a pretty tall order, especially when you consider this is about 200 ringgit more expensive than the XM4s, which, by the way, are currently still on sale. What I would say is this: if you're coming from the XM4s, I would tell you, nah, you're good. You're honestly set. Again, some of the changes are, if I'm honest, well, not minor, they're moderate, but not so much that I would call these a game changer, especially if, again, you're coming from XM4s. Now, if you're coming from XM2s or XM3s, which were two or three, obviously three generations or two generations apart at this point, then yes, why not? Given that they've been on the market, those particular models have been on the market for a while, you're very likely going to be experiencing, a drop in battery longevity, endurance, or, the headphones just generally crapping out on each other because of, wear and tear. So on that note, I would definitely recommend you these earphones. Anyway, that has been a very brief review of the Sony WH-1000XM5s. I hope you guys liked the video. If you do, like the video and share it with your friends and other people. In any case, thanks for watching.